Oh, man, that theme gets me. What is up, everyone? Happy Sunday. Happy Father's Day to everyone. And welcome to Bounty Hunt, a Youtini Network podcast where we hunt down all the extra content in the Star Wars universe. I'm your host, Eric Eilerson, and joining me on this week's hunt are three people who are not, as far as we know, biological dads. First, we have Dr. Corey Helton. What's up, man?
No, I am your father.
There it is.
I don't know why I opened with that, but welcome, everyone. I am fresh off a night shift, feeling good, finally. I slept a lot last night, which is unheard of, usually on night shift, so I'm excited to be here, man. I love this episode. I'm excited to talk about it.
Oh, I'm so freaking jazzed. And you know who else is Utah jazzed? Dr. Charles Hankel. Hey, bud.
Hello. Yes, I'm not a Utah Jazz fan, but I am quite pleased that the Nets lost last night. And I would also like to point out that I do have a fur baby. I do have a son.
That is good. I'm glad you have that son.
Don't ever talk to me or my son again.
That's how we get this episode. We'll get there. But not before we get to the luminous, gloriously lit Texas face of Wes Jenkins.
Hello, everyone. I am also happy that the Nets lost yesterday, and especially James Harden. I hope he's sad. But yes, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I am also a dad for the dog type, and he's brought me six of his toys ever since we started this show. So in 15 seconds, my room is full, and there he is.
Hey, bud.
He's just trying to wish you a happy Father's Day.
He's trying to be a good boy. Well, we hope that you all are having a great Sunday morning / afternoon. We want to send a special happy Father's Day to our very own dad batch over at Youtini. We got a bunch of them. We love you all very much. But that's enough of that, because we're here to talk about a particularly epic episode of The Bad Batch, Season 1, Episode 8, Reunion. Now, if you're new to Bounty Hunt, welcome to the show. We're going to say right now, we got full spoilers going on in this episode, and if you haven't watched it yet, pause us now. Great.
Nice.
Do that. I know, right? See, that was a bit.
That was smooth.
Pause the show. Go watch it. Come on back, because we are going to recap what happened in the episode. We're going to rate it. We're going to talk about what we loved in it. Spoiler, it's a lot. And then we'll do maybe a little speculating and just have a chill time on a Sunday morning afternoon. But without further ado, let's go into what happened in Season 1, Episode 8, Reunion. We begin on Braca with Wrecker teaching Omega about explosives. Their relationship has been reestablished, and he surprises her with a little smoke bomb. The Bad Batch then realizes they can search the Venator ship they're on for weapons and supplies. They can finally erase their debt to Sid. Meanwhile, back on Camino, the Kaminoans discuss the news of the Bad Batch's location we got last episode and their desire to capture Omega. We confirm they are the ones that have been hiring bounty hunters. So they send Crosshair, Project War Mantle, and a bunch of clones who then arrive on Braca looking for the Bad Batch. And the hunt begins. The Bad Batch takes refuge in the ion engine of the ship, which Crosshair then orders to be started up while they're in it. But the Bad Batch cleverly explodes off the casing, causing Crosshair's face to be burned in the process. Hunter and Omega then escape to the hangar of the ship and meet up with Cad Bane, who shoots Hunter in the chest and then stuns Omega and steals her. Hunter then wakes up a little disoriented, is rescued by the Bad Batch as they leave the planet, and now they got to go get Omega. So, y'all, let's just go around to start. Rate this episode 1 to 10. Charles, let's begin with you.
9.7. I really love this one.
Sick. Love it. All right, Wes, our contrarian from last week.
You gonna shit all over this one too, Wes, or do you have a good opinion this week?
This one I really liked, so I'm gonna give this one a 9.4.
9.4.
Totally
are you
solid.
sure you don't have a problem with how they turned on the power in the ship in this episode, Wes?
I think you lessened me, I guess, last week and told me just to shut the hell up and let it happen. So I did that.
Oh man.
Oh my God. All right, Corey, what do you got?
I love this episode too, but I gotta stop giving episodes perfect 10s, man, because it's not right to give them all perfect 10s when they're all perfect. But this episode was absolutely phenomenal. If I'm not gonna give it a perfect 10, I'll at least give it like a 9.8 or a 9.9. It was phenomenal. This might be my favorite episode so far, and I may have said that last week too. So
Yeah, hey, no problem with that. I will also go like 9.7, 9.8. I loved this episode a ton, and I think it's really cool that we're halfway through the season, and the episodes are just getting super rad. So you know what? Let's go right into a bunch of stuff that we loved about this episode. Clearly, from what I saw online and in Discord, everyone was very cool with spoilers, but everyone seemed to freaking love this, and let's go into why. First of all, we get Crosshair back. We kind of talked last week about how we assume now the second half of the season we'd be getting Crosshair. Great, that's the Discord channel.
Sorry.
That's also OBS.
Sorry.
Great job.
I bumped it. My
Bounty
bad.
hunt. So we get Crosshair back in this episode, which we thought was going to happen last week, which is cool. And I want to talk to you guys about Crosshair because dude is freaking brutal in this episode, like more than I think we've ever seen him before. He literally tries to fire at Omega above anyone else. He tries to light the entire Bad Batch on fire using an ion engine. Like, yo, is Crosshair still redeemable at this point? Or like,
dude, I don't know, man. He is like legit scary this episode though, and like I love that Omega keeps like pleading with him too, and it's just not. Of course, it's not going to work. The inhibitor chips are too strong, so.
I think he's still redeemable. It's all about that chip. As long as Omega is there to let everyone know, keep reminding him, hey, it's that chip. Remember, it's not really him, it's the chip. Then he can be redeemed at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's for sure redeemable. Vader was redeemable, and he wasn't doing anything because of an inhibitor chip. He had computer parts everywhere, but in his brain. But yeah, I do love though that Crosshair is kind of carrying forward that Star Wars theme of when you turn evil, I don't know, like psychologically, that you become physically scarred into form.
Yeah.
That was fun to see.
Yeah. Isn't that in, to bring it back to a book perspective, is that in the Bane books where they talk about like, you can only truly unlock the power of the dark side if you become physically deformed or something like that. Suffer through the lightning. I remember that was in like a holocron or something.
Yeah, the Orbalisk armor or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, God, the Orbalisk armor. Yeah, read the Bane books, y'all, including the newly released Legends Essentials collection, Darth Bane, Book 1, available now at Youtini.com through affiliate links.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I love how Crosshair, like, honestly, when they were wrapping his bandage at the end, I'm like, is he going to be Dengar? Like, he looked a little Dengar-esque.
He did.
The head wrap.
He did. I wonder if that's going to be a recurring theme now. He's going to be injured. I did pull up a couple screenshots here.
Let's check them out.
That's how I screwed that up a second ago. But here we go. This is the very beginning of the episode with Omega. This I'm like really starting to appreciate Omega. Like I think up to this point, like she's been sort of the same character, but she's starting to sort of differentiate a little bit. And like this scene was phenomenal. Of like her disarming the bomb, and then when Wrecker was like, "What, you think I would mess around with something besides a smoke bomb?" I was like, fantastic.
Yeah, you might also, and I love on the Omega thing real quick. I love how she's doing that thing that we love, especially you and me, Corey. That she's really working on her competence. Like she's never been incompetent, but she's like, I need to learn stuff, so I'm gonna take time, learn these lessons.
Yeah.
And I mean, and Wrecker is so fun. Because after last episode, we talked about, how will they repair? I'm glad that he's back in Uncle Wrecker's seat. And I'm glad he's like, I did a bad thing, but now I'm back. I'm going to help you out. And you know what? I thought he might practice the live round. So the joke worked. I'm really glad that he, like,
and that's
hilarious
gonna come back around. I think we're gonna see her have to defuse something to get her away from Cad Bane or what have you.
Yep.
They spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah. Nothing's ever an accident in Star Wars.
And while we're talking about Omega, something really important happened in this episode. I'm not sure if you guys noticed. Yeah. She shot and killed somebody this episode.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Did you guys notice that?
I actually did not.
With her bow. She killed a clone.
I may be wrong, but this may be the first time ever we've seen a child character shoot and kill somebody else. I mean, you guys have heard me complain about that before of like Ezra stuns everybody, even though they're in these huge firefights and they're all killing each other.
In season 3, he does on the latest episode of the Ghost Crew on our Patreon. We talk about Ezra for the first time in season 3. Once he gets the Sith holocron, he has a blaster and he just shoots guys in the chest, and it's like really startling. But he's also like, he's like 16 or 17 at this point. Omega's like 11.
Right? Yeah, right.
She seems really young.
I did notice that it cuts the frame a little bit. You don't actually see the blaster bolt like it doesn't linger on the guy that she killed at all. Like it's really quickly like boom, she killed this guy. Like,
and they cut away from her laughing and like licking blood off of her lips. Like I'm really glad they cut away from that. That would have been a little harsh.
Oh man, I loved it. You know, and I think the another scene that was very striking that was new this episode is we're starting to get a little more clues into what the Kaminoans are up to, right? They got some kind of scheme of cooking, man. Like what is?
It made me so happy to just see Kamino again. That shot from the outside with the rain, I was like, yes, here we go.
So good. Like the opening scene of the boots on the floor, it looked like live action. It was so good. Like
it's Admiral, is it Rampart? Is that
Rampart?
Yeah, Rampart. Because he clearly just wants the batch like eliminated, doesn't really care. And I love that the split between him for the Empire and the Kaminoans who are like we know for sure want Omega. Like Omega is the goal. Mm-hmm. I think we've like kind of known that, but I liked the confirmation again that they don't really care about the guys. They want Omega back because she is special. She is the future of the cloning. And she is the only way the Kaminoans can kind of like keep up, you know? So I'm glad they had that. But I also love the fact that they're kind of like, oh, man, we made this large contract with the Empire and now we're kind of screwed and we're all going to die.
Yeah.
So what can we secretly work out beneath? And I love that they freaking hired bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my God.
They brought it back around to like the original trilogy where bounty hunters were
that's
like
true.
a thing that you did, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They're useful.
That's right. Any speculation maybe about what the plan is? Like what are they trying to do? Are they like why do they want Omega so bad? We still don't know what her deal is, right? But like why is she so crucial to like the survival of the Kaminoans? Is it
they gotta want some like her DNA because they probably practiced a lot and screwed up and they got a bunch of weird clones
DNA.
In the back that are like they got a bunch of mistakes that they have to shoot off the platform, but he's the one that actually worked out, and so they need to try to recreate that.
Well, and I also wonder if like all of the Jango Fett clones, right, are essentially legally property of the Empire, right? That's the thing. So maybe Omega is like the next strain that she's not Imperial property. That she's like, okay, we can kind of branch off and do something else and try to stay going, which we, of course, know probably doesn't happen given their complete disappearance in the greater galaxy. But I think she's maybe represents their last chance. But I know that we're still a little early in the episode. Do we want to go right into kind of the biggest reveal, speaking of bounty hunters, that happened in this episode?
Yes, please.
Sure.
How'd y'all feel when you saw that hat come out of the ship? Like, and freaking Bane showed up.
I know.
For real.
I
was thrilled. I was thrilled. We were definitely in a Western motif, like 100%. The theme changed. And he was way more cowboy in this episode than he ever was in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Cad Bane is like, he's that guy. You know what I mean? Like he is that guy. When he showed up in the Clone Wars, I mean, you guys remember? Oh, nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Get that? Was that like a 3 3/4 inch?
No, this is the Black Series.
Black Series.
I opened the box. Can you believe it?
Worth it.
I would absolutely open the box of all those.
Think back to when Cad Bane made some of his earliest appearances in the Clone Wars. I think it was like the holocron heist type.
I think the first time he shows up is when he busts Zero out. Maybe I literally watched. I really watched that earlier because when I watched Bad Batch again today, and Disney Plus was like, "Hey, you might want to watch Clone Wars." I'm like, I think I would like to watch some Clone Wars. So I watched like 3 episodes this morning. It was season 1.
Either way, as soon as they introduced him, he was probably one of the most capable non-force using characters I think that we've ever seen, and he lived up to that here too. I mean, he just shoved Hunter right out of the way, and he did what Fennec Shan couldn't do. So I thought that was pretty incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you had me pick my my Star Wars Bad Batch bingo card, Cad Bane would not have been on it, man. I forgot that he even existed. But I mean, you're right. He survived. I mean, he would have survived Order 66, and he just stopped being in the Clone Wars one episode, and we just forgot about him. I guess, man. I'm so pleased to see him. You think he's gonna survive the show?
I think he will. And in the chat, they bring up something here that some people were talking about, that there was a Clone Wars arc that never got released. One of the ones they never made, one of the ones that didn't make it into season 7, that involved a Cad Bane Boba Fett epic duel that people talked about. And I wonder if this is their way of maybe getting that in. It's Cad Bane reestablishing an animation. Because if all these bounty hunters are being hired, Fennec and Cad, it makes sense that maybe Boba would as well. Yeah. And are they kind of like War of the Bounty Hunters in the comics right now? Are they essentially going to be fighting over the bounty on Omega? Because that's got to be huge.
Are we gonna see Fennec Shan and Cad Bane going toe to toe? I would watch a whole episode.
I think so.
Be good.
Yeah, I think that Fennec is going to
get Batch, just them two.
Whereas Dale said this earlier. This is what I think. I wonder if they'll make a deal with Fennec, a truce to get her to get Omega. So she's like, we'll let you get the bounty easier if you help us get her back. kind of make Fennec a good character, because I think they want to make her a good guy in the Star Wars universe for the most part, or at least morally good. I think that Fennec is going to team up.
She hasn't really been established as a bad guy yet either in this show, for sure, right? I mean, I think she
killed a couple cops, but who hasn't?
Yeah, who hasn't
murdered
Star Wars, man? Going back to the whole competence thing, Eric. I need a teenage Boba Fett who is supremely competent. Please, after the after the Boba Fett that we got in the Clone Wars, I really need to see something that makes him fairly confident before he's the Boba Fett, right?
Yeah, because he has this huge, the biggest reputation, right? So let's see him earn that a bunch, and what better way to do it than getting involved in a war of bounties with the Bad Batch and Fennec and Cat? It's just really going in a really cool direction.
The only animated character, the only character in the history of animation whose portrayal I've just wholeheartedly disagreed with has been the depiction of Boba Fett, and he was such an annoying kid, man, all the way through the Clone Wars. He has no redeeming arcs whatsoever. Yeah. It sucks, man.
But he had an adverse childhood event of picking up his father's head off of a Ocean Arena floor. So
again, who among us? Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. But I want to put this out into the universe. I'm worried about Omega, guys. I'm worried about Omega because I know personally I'd probably have some Stockholm syndrome if Cad Bane kidnapped me, because he is so cool. She might be safer actually with Cad Bane as a bodyguard than with the entire Bad Batch. For real.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look what he did to Hunter just immediately. And before you comment on that, I have to say he rocks the toothpick way cooler than Crosshair.
Yes.
Only one person can have a toothpick in this show. If you're gonna bring Cad Bane in, Crosshair's got to retire the toothpick.
Yep. He's got to go to Gum or something.
Gum.
What's his droid's name? Do we
remember?
Man.
Stupid little droid. I don't know.
It's
I love
voiced
that
by
thing,
Seth Green, isn't it?
Yeah, because you know what? Yeah, it is.
I think so.
That's great.
It is. That droid and Omega are gonna have such great scenes next week. I'm calling it now. She's gonna be so fascinated by him. And he's like, "You are Omega. You are a clone. We're going to Camino." And she's like, "Oh, and you're a droid with Cad Bane," or however she's gonna say his name. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so cute. It's gonna be
I mean, speaking of Cad Bane and Hunter, when we watched Cad Bane in the Clone Wars, he had all the tricks and all the gadgets to get out of every situation. When you thought he was down and out, he'd shoot off with his foot like rockets and then take off.
Yeah, rocket boots.
If you're gonna get in a fight with Cad Bane, I don't think a standoff with him is gonna be the way to go. You're gonna need more than one person.
Hunter did not stand a chance, by the way.
No.
Cad Bane didn't even have his hand on his gun, and Hunter basically did, and he smoked him, man. I smoked him.
Which again, I think
he got a shot off.
Funny enough,
he shot the
poor droid
Chodo 360. Chodo 360. That was him.
First.
Coincidentally, last night when I was on night shift, funny enough, before I watched night before last, before I watched the episode, I saw on Reddit or Facebook or some social media, like there is a real like Olympic level competition of that type of shooting of like a quick draw. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And somebody broke the world record for like the fastest quick draw. Like it was like 0.24 seconds or something like that. And I saw
the bad Kane.
It was outrageous. I saw the video of them doing that. So like when they showed just like, and I had like looked it up and like read a little bit about it on the skill it takes to do that just because I was curious. And
you signed up for lessons and now you're going to be doing that.
That's the next hobby.
We know how your brain works.
Oh my God, you're not wrong. But so all that was on my mind. Like when this whole Cad Bane thing happened, I was like, dude, this is epic. I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah. And again, I think it does a great thing in this series, which is this series keeps surprising us. Like they're like the main character really is Hunter. He's the leader of the squad that is named in the show, and he just got shot in the chest in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm glad he survived, but I also had the moment of like, oh my God, they might have just killed Hunter.
I legit thought that. Holy shit, I thought he was dead. He got shot in the chest, man. Like, how do you survive that? Like,
good armor?
Does that have reinforced armor?
It doesn't seem to work for anyone else.
I don't know, man. Let's also talk about the aftermath of that scene and the first time we've ever seen first-person mode happen.
Dude,
and any of this animation, that was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. And that when I saw
the heavy breathing.
Yes, when I saw that scene, I was like, this is going to be my favorite episode of the whole season. I really think it was because like it doesn't like linger on it either. It's like it's absolutely his perspective of the blaster fire like coming in and like record, like it was crazy, man. I absolutely loved that first person mode. You can't see out of the helmets for shit though, I gotta say.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and Wes, you know more than us probably where that HUD is from. It's Republic Commando.
Yeah, Republic. I was just gonna say
that. It's the same HUD.
It was. Yeah, it was.
I was gonna say that's definitely a callback to Republic Commando. And speaking of Wrecker, he had the bow in his hand. So when we those questions arise of, Omega dropped her bow, but how did she get it back? There it is.
Yeah, somebody
Wrecker had it in his hand.
That's pretty wild.
Wrecker had it in his hand.
Oh, real quick, guys. Obi-Wan in the chat makes a great point. We forgot Hunter was wearing plot armor, so that's why he was fine. That's a great point.
Oh my God.
Forgot about
great
that.
Point.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I do love with the real quick on the HUD still, because that was one of my favorite moments, and I had the same thought, Corey, of like, ooh, this episode's really great.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they use things like the HUD and they bring things back like Cad Bane, like this show is, I think, maybe breaking some of the most new ground in a while with shows. Like it's doing a lot of stuff, but with that and Braca and the Zygerians, like it's doing callbacks so well, and it just makes the universe lived in. It makes it feel like it's how Easter eggs should be done. And I think straight up,
it's advantageous for this show because it has all that they can call back on. So like when the Clone Wars came out, they weren't able to call back on all these like the video games and various things because it didn't exist yet. But now we can take in all those Easter eggs a lot better.
Seeing the Scrappers Guild is really cool. I gotta say that.
Ponchos,
I love their masks. I love the masks.
Did anyone else think it was hilarious when they like stunned the first couple and then the last guy was like getting away? And he ends up just like getting yeeted off like that. Like he falls like into the abyss, and no one says anything about it. I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, he's just a dude. He's so dead.
If you stun somebody before chucking them off a cliff, you might as well just shot them. In fact, I may have just preferred to be shot at that point. Like,
maybe it's like a car crash when you're drunk and your body's limp and you survive it.
My God.
He bounces.
He's still screaming and falling at this exact moment.
Yeah. Oh, y'all. Paul, great chat talking in the chat right now. Paul brought up a great point that hurts my soul. Omega probably thinks Hunter is dead because he didn't wake up until they were gone.
That's true.
But also, Dale and Obi-Wan make a good point. What if she feels his presence in the Force, and that's how we find out she's Force sensitive?
Oh my God!
Oh no!
I don't know.
So many possibilities.
That would certainly be a good explanation for why the Kaminoans want her back so bad. Of like they think that she's going to be a lead on Force sensitive like clones, which they've never.
Yeah, well, they can manipulate. Manipulate the M count.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's genetics.
Can we go back to the Ion engine? We haven't really talked to we talked about Crosshair getting burned, but like, can we talk about what Bad Batch did in there and all that, because that was wild.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was something we've never seen before. I mean, and I think my favorite part of that whole thing is when they're walking through the engine, and Tech is like, yes, this is really an engineering marvel. The coating on this thing is like capable, and Wrecker's like, no one cares.
I replayed that this morning. I was like, that's probably something really important that we should pay attention to.
It's
and then I was like,
hilarious.
No one cares. Well, and I love in the lead up to the engine moment, it's so cool watching like the chess game between the Bad Batch and Crosshair and the clones, because the clones now, Alex Damon made a great point of this on Star Wars Explained. They're inhibitor chips. They're not thinking freely now because the chips are activated, so they probably can't adapt to tactics as well. So the Bad Batch knows that, they're going to take a left here, so we hide here. They're going to go here, so we go here, because they know all that. But Crosshair then knows the Bad Batch tactics, so then he's one step ahead of them.
Yeah.
So I loved how I thought the Bad Batch was going to get away scot-free in the engine, and then Crosshair's like, "Yep, thought you'd be here. That's why I sent someone to the bridge, and that's why I'm sniping you right now." Like, it was such a cool, continuous counter of tactics. I loved it.
But at the same time, whenever Crosshair got burned, and then everyone ran over to him, and they like had no idea what to do next, and he was like, "They're going for their ship," and it was like, probably. It's their only way out of here, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of, we were talking a few minutes ago about like how we're seeing the transition of so many different things in this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing we're transitioning from Clone Wars to Empire, and this is such an exciting, fun thing to sort of see play out. Like, the other screenshot I had pulled up here is this shot, man. Like, what the heck, dude? Such a good shot. We're really starting to see the Empire sort of reveal itself in the clones. They were kind of scary this episode. Like, all the clones were. I really enjoyed seeing, like, they're starting to sound like stormtroopers. The way that they answer orders without question. Like, it's good. I like it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's really creepy. And the fact that they're going to these brutal tactics, because like the clones were like always winning, right? They would get their victories, but it was never like brutal necessarily that much against the Separatists. And now like this whole ion engine plan is terrifying. It's like, hey, my friends who I grew up with, and hey, clones, your fellow clones and a child,
I know,
turn on the ion engine so they're immolated.
Freaking ion. This is scary, dude.
I thought the energy, seeing the engine turn on from the inside, honestly was really cool too, because I've always loved how much Filoni and the whole art team, I guess, for all these Star Wars animated shows got so much better at the explosions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how, like, if you go look at early Clone Wars and then you look at like late Rebels and all the intricate, like, different small colors, like they would throw greens and stuff in there.
Yeah, Sabine's explosions especially were so cool always.
Yeah. And like seeing like this engine just come to life and energize, and it felt almost like it had the essence of seeing the Death Star laser power on for the first time.
Great point.
Like,
I love that.
It was so cool.
All right, so I just had you just brought up a really interesting point, Charles, that gave me a thought that only the most hardcore of nerds would appreciate this. The people that are doing a Star Wars podcast and or listening to a Star Wars podcast. The depiction of engines in Star Wars may be like one of the best ways to discuss the progression of how Star Wars has changed over the years, because an engine flare is the first thing we ever see in the history of Star Wars. And when A New Hope opens, the opening shot of the film is the Tantive 4 being chased by a Star Destroyer. And if you look at the engine lights in that scene, it's been changed like 8 times. Every time they remaster the original.
Wait, they changed the original trilogy?
Yeah, in case you didn't know, it's a thing, McClunky. So the opening scenes have changed so much. So like the most recent one, the one on Disney Plus, it looks like a pretty good engine, like this pulsing and stuff. But like in the very original, I have the what is it called, the despecialized editions, right? Eric, you and I both have those, and like you can, it's like very low tech effects, like really low tech effects. So like to go from that in freaking 1970s, man, to come to, we got to discuss how an engine worked, we got to see the lighting, we got to see the ignition process. Like, dude, this is like 45 years of Star Wars or some shit, man. That is crazy. That is crazy.
It's incredible because these kind of things are why I love the reference books that are coming out in the past couple of years so much, because they're getting these freaking nerds that saw that stuff in the 70s, and now they're making these manuals all about how the parts actually work. And if you ever like follow any of the creators of other books or shows of art departments on Twitter, like that's what they use. They use the reference books that are written and say, okay, how do we make this? How do we put these things into the show? So like it's all connected, man. It's why my bookshelves are screaming out in pain, because I need to know the complete vehicle history of. I need to know what a Venator's thing looks like. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna see if a Venator is in that book. Keep talking.
I bet it is.
I'm sure it is.
But how about the? Did anyone else kind of? Yeah, it's a great book here. But did anyone else kind of question? I know the Bad Batch was desperate, but like just placing all those charges around like the engine to try to blow it up and detach it, I was just like, holy smokes, like they're dead
risky.
one way or another.
Yeah, seriously.
They went after that plan.
If they, like, blew up some of it and not fully circumferentially.
Exactly. They executed that plan like it was going to work 100%. And I was like, there's probably 12% chance this is going to work. And what if you didn't put enough charges around? It just blew holes. It just blew holes around it, but it didn't actually fall apart.
There it is. So here's the Venator. There. This is the thing. Hey,
Eric
kids,
is pointing
here's
to
the
the
engine where they
engine
almost
compartment.
died. Oh yeah, audio people.
Here you go.
Look at that. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. And you're right, Wes. It says the power can turn on no matter how many years it's been for no reason at all. So yeah, great.
This is how Eric's gonna
documented.
Like, read bedtime stories to his kids when he's a dad. He's gonna pull this.
Hi,
book
kids. So today we're talking about you.
Nobody cares.
I just want to go to sleep. Well, that's too damn bad.
It was good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Like everything about the whole engine compartment was cool. And you know, I really like that they also addressed the sort of obvious answer too, because Wrecker was carrying a proton torpedo, and we're like, why don't we just chuck that in there and blow it up? And they were like, Dave Filoni was probably like, you know what, the nerds are going to argue about this on Star Wars podcast. We should probably like, you know, tie up this loose end real fast.
I do love that Wrecker just like chucked a proton torpedo at a guy's face.
That was great.
And
hell
smashed him to death.
So aside from all the cool action stuff, let's talk about the end real quick, because Omega's gone. Like
I have one more thing to bring up too. Sorry.
Never mind. You first.
I'm sorry.
To end on that one. It's okay.
I want to end on the Omega thing, because that's the important thing. One more small detail that easily overlooked that I literally just thought of: when Tech and Omega are in the they're on the bridge, right? Mm-hmm. Omega has this moment where she like looks off. 24-minute episode. They spent time on this. I thought it was important. Mm-hmm. She looks off into the distance, and then she asks Tech, "What was the war like?" That was that was such a good moment, man. And he rattled off some like very technical, answer, and she's like, "No, what was it like?" And she was like in deep thought in that moment. Yeah, and I was like, "What is this? What does this mean? Moment. What does this mean? Like, what are they trying to tell us about Omega's character?" Like, I don't know. It was really good, really good.
I would have liked to hear though, probably anyone else's. Maybe not Wrecker. I would have liked to hear, I would like to hear Hunter's answer to that question.
Yeah. Dude, I want to hear Echo's.
Or Echo, because
speaking of those two,
I love hearing the psychological stuff, of what is warfare, what is it to experience warfare, especially for those bred for that express purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They had a brief conversation. I don't know if it was right before that or right after it. And they said, well, I forgot who said we wouldn't be in this Echo. We wouldn't be that situation if we had gone with Rex. Yeah. And he was like, Rex has a different point of view. He's like, does he? We're all soldiers here.
I know.
And I was like, that's interesting. They put that in there.
Yeah, it's like my money is still on. That's where the show is going. Is they're going to hook up with the rebellion, right? Like at some point, maybe. And we talked about last week that they haven't really said how many seasons of the show there's going to be, right? So I don't know. I mean, it feels like it could be a one-off thing, but we're halfway through the show now, and Omega is still not very developed as a character. We don't know what her thing is yet, right? Yeah. So maybe there is plans to be more, right?
I love Omega, because the younger characters in all Star Wars, like Ahsoka, Ezra, Omega are clearly like supposed to represent us as audience looking in, right?
Yeah.
Where they ask the questions, they are the exposition machines. And I think that question about the war is meant to get us as an audience thinking about exactly what you guys are saying. It's like, okay, you love that show. There's a lot of great action, but really, what was it? Like, what was it like to watch the people suffer? And especially now that we know Palpatine did the whole thing. Like, it goes a lot deeper, and to have to explain war to a child, I think it's something that, I mean, hey, it's Father's Day, right? A lot of parents have to do at some point. Like, why do people kill each other? Why do these things happen? And I think having Tech do it was actually a smart writing thing, because we don't have to go that deep on this episode because he's not that deep into it. But I think having Omega ask those questions is very interesting. Yeah. And I think that's not going away. It's a great point, Corey. I love that a lot.
Yeah, it was really good. One of my favorite moments, I think, of the show so far. And that the panoramic scene shot that it shows of looking over Braca. There's a lot to. I paused it on that. There's a lot to digest, and there's a lot of ships, and there's more than just like the Venator class ships out there, right? And it's
carnage.
It really
is a planet of carnage,
right? And like we keep getting these little insights into Omega's character. Like she's young, like 10, 11 or something like that, but still like she has pretty heavy questions, and we still don't know anything. We don't know anything about her. We don't know what her background is, how educated she is. She certainly seems to not really know much about the clones, which is weird, right? Like she's a very unique clone, obviously, but she seems to not know anything about the clones. Like, what has she been doing this whole time? Like, what
she seems to understand like the technical information about them, maybe because like she knows about the inhibitor chips, etc.
Yeah, that's true.
But it almost seems like she's never really interacted with them, like on a personal level.
Yeah, she was kept separately.
Right.
Which also brings the question, like, does she have a chip? Maybe it doesn't do Order 66, but she was a clone.
Question.
Right.
What does she have in there?
Baby.
I mean, maybe the Kaminoans were keeping her away from the clones, so she couldn't possibly know all that information. So I mean, like you said, Corey, I mean, it's up in the air. We don't really know yet until they tell us.
Well, and now it's the question of like, you know, she's with Cad Bane now, right? Bane takes her away. They're gone. They are
best friends.
That's friends. They're buddies now. So they take her away, but now she is, we assume, going back to Kamino. And the Bad Batch has now lost the only thing that we've ever seen them lose. Like in our entire history as viewers with them, they have won every skirmish, essentially.
Yeah.
They've escaped as they needed to. They've never had any of them die. They've, even when Rex shows up, they're fine. When Fennec shows up, they're fine. Like, this is the first real huge loss, other than losing Crosshair, I guess. But, you know, he's still alive. I think there's still possibilities. They have now failed so hard that the one thing that they valued is gone. Like, this next episode, how do you think that's affecting everything? Omega and the Batch alike.
I think we're going to see a lot from Hunter, because he's going to feel a lot of guilt about this, right?
Because he was there.
And we're also probably going to get a little bit of that classic trope of now he's injured and he wants to participate, but he really can't, right? So I think we're going to get a lot of that.
We gotta finish the mission.
Yeah. Do they? Well, that's the thing. Do they go back do they go back to Sid for another mission, or do you immediately go looking for Omega?
Oh, it's got to be Omega. It's got to be.
The last lines of the episode was we have to find her, I think is what
we
Hunter
have to find her.
Yeah.
So
might ask Sid for help though.
What happens though? Let's think about that. When, let's say, Omega makes it all the way back to Kamino. What happens? We know the Kaminoans want her. We know that Rampart and the Empire kind of just want to wipe these people out, like that they can't use. Like, are the Kaminoans going to have to hide Omega from like Rampart and the Empire? Because would they just kill her on site, or are they going to figure out why she's important and then try to use her for their efforts? I mean, there's a lot of questions there.
They have to smuggle her in, I think, like, because I feel like they would put Omega in like a back room, like whatever. If we're talking about her not really interacting with the clones a lot, maybe they've had a back room where they're like, all right, we're keeping her in there. She got out once, and we're just going to experiment on her and do whatever we got to do. Because you're right, Charles. I think that if Rampart got a whiff of her, or like knew that something was going on, it would probably not end too well.
And so Bad Batch is gonna, I mean, they're gonna have to repeat something they've done, right? With going back to Kamino. even in like the first episode, like trying to escape when Crosshair had his first standoff with them. I mean, we might kind of see that play out again.
Yeah.
I don't think they're making it to Camino. I think that, and only this is pure speculation because it's only episode 8 out of 16. I think that Camino might be where we end this season, but I think that Bane might like, stop off at a planet for fuel or whatever. And I think they're going to have to like track him down throughout the galaxy before he makes his way back would be my guess.
It brings Wes's point. It's a good point. Yeah. And what you're saying, Eric, this is only episode 8. I mean, there's a lot of time left between now and the finale of this show. And this does seem like the inevitable thing that was always going to happen. And it's happened at the halfway point. So is there something even bigger coming? Like we thought this was the big thing. Maybe it's not.
She's a Palpatine. That's what we got to find out.
Oh my God. Get the hell out. Oh my God.
Every time, baby.
Yeah. What kind of, important question I think to ask is what kind of bounty hunter is Cad Bane, right?
Right.
Is he a damn good one?
Is he well, we have two kind of bounty hunters in Star Wars, right? We have the kind that are loyal to the contract and they will do whatever it takes to fulfill the contract. We also have the I will sell out to the highest bidder type of bounty hunter, right?
Ooh,
so
that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah,
Corey.
like maybe the Empire is going to get whiff of who Omega actually is and find out that Cad Bane has them. Maybe he sells her to the Empire instead. So we get a big face off with the Empire, which bring it on, baby. I want to see what clone like a really heavy action sequence of just like forget like Crosshair and that whole arc that's happening. Let's see just straight up. I want to see some Stormtrooper kind of action, man.
I want to see. Remember in season 7 where it was this episode where the Bad Batch went into that tower and it was just that camera that followed them as they all did their really cool moves. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want at the end of the season, for some reason, we got the Bad Batch teaming up with Cad Bane and Fennec Shand and Boba Fett against the Empire in Camino, just being like, it's just like a giant action sequence with laser
you're
boots
managing
and
your
stuff.
Expectations.
Exactly. I also want them just to have a nice conversation around a table. I think that would be fine.
I'm ready to see, not ready, but I'm interested to see when the Stormtrooper helmets change. When does that change happen? It's because they're still in Clone Wars type era, I guess, a little bit. But
good question.
You can see subtle changes.
It's only been
with the teeth at the bottom.
A couple
I guess.
days. I mean, how long? Yeah. How much time do you think this passed? A couple days?
We've
maybe
all
a couple
worked.
Weeks.
We all worked in companies where they're like, okay, we're going to change the uniform. All right, so we're going to roll it out next month, but you have to make sure you get your request in for your new uniform, and that's going to have to go. And this is millions of clones.
Yeah.
So we got to make sure you get the request forms in. Oh, we're going to lose them. All right, you have to resubmit because you didn't sign the right line to get your new helmet.
Well, that's how it happened in the Clone Wars TV show, right? There was a little bit of mixture amongst helmets for a couple episodes.
That's true for phase 1, phase 2.
But Steve the clone is going to show up on Monday in the phase 3 or whatever armor, and everyone else is in a new stuff. He's like, was that today? Was that?
Oh no. I forgot. Hey, Steve, if you don't have your phase 3 Stormtrooper helmet, you got to go back home and change. Like, I'm sorry, but you got to do it.
And you have to use it as a holiday. You can't use it as a work day since it's going to be back and forth.
Okay, guys, next show, not Bad Batch. I want Middle Management Empire. I only want... It's like on Loki, everyone that works the TVA, but the Empire.
We have gotten a shockingly large amount of middle management empire through the years, right? Like, there's the freaking scene where they retcon the guy that didn't shoot the escape pod with C-3PO and R2-D2 in episode 4, right? Of like, no, we have to meet our metrics. Don't shoot that. Like, we don't want to waste any ammunition. I want my KD ratio to be off, all right?
Yeah.
Like,
and in Lost Stars, when they're at the Imperial Academy, remember he's growing, so he has to go get his new uniform.
Yes, yeah, we get a lot of that through the years, so it's ridiculous.
But not next episode, everyone. We don't think that's going to happen. Sorry. Any final thoughts about this truly epic episode? I'll say now as we're talking about it, I think this is my favorite so far. I feel pretty good about saying that. I thought so, and as we just talk about everything that happened in it, I think it really hit all the notes. I'd had
for sure
great action set pieces, had those great emotional talks, had great cameos, and God, did it push the plot forward in a way that I truly don't know what happens next. And I think looking back, I'm glad we had those couple episodes of Sid gives a mission, we do them. Sid gives a mission, and then we do them. Like, I'm glad that not every episode is like this. So the balance in this show, I think, is really super solid, making it perhaps one of the best overall quality first seasons of Star Wars television we've ever gotten.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Loving
it.
I mean,
was this y'all's favorite episode, Charles West?
Yes,
Yeah.
this was definitely my favorite episode. Just
All
like
four of us, man. That is kind of unheard of.
Great.
Well, and I think
they left us in question, right?
I know.
That's what the best part of the show is what's going to happen next. We kind of we kind of had an idea, but on the past episodes, but this one, you're like, they actually saw a formidable foe that stopped one of them, completely stopped them in their tracks and took their most prized possession from them. So now everybody's on the edge of their seat for next Friday.
Yeah. I've been giving a lot of these episodes, I don't know, 7.5, something along those lines. Not because they're not good. They've been great, but I just knew this is what we had coming, because like I have absolute faith in Filoni and the whole creative team behind this. And this was the first one I think I gave over a 9.5, and I expect we got a lot more of those coming. So this is what I've been saving those up for. So
well, I'm glad. And before we get into the outro here, speaking of high ratings, I want to give a little teaser to y'all that are watching live as a thank you. Tomorrow night on the Living Force, we are going to be doing our last draft for a while because I love them a lot and I've gotten in a mood. So we'll be taking a break from our drafts. But tomorrow night, we're going to be showcasing the Youtini timeline and showcasing our eras of canon reading. I know that a lot of people like that organization. And we're going to be drafting a book from every era to make our ideal team. There's going to be a lot more tactics than usual. We're going to show off the glorious work our timeline team has done. And, you know, that week when Corey worked like 98 hours on it. So I'm very excited. Tune in tomorrow night at the usual time. 8 p.m. Eastern to tell us which books you love, and maybe they'll find our ways onto our team. So we'll see you tomorrow night for that. Again, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there that are watching this or listening to this. We hope you have a great day relaxing or doing whatever it is you want to do. And to all the people that are father figures out there, whether that be for a dog, whether that be for a kid that's not your own, you are absolutely important. You're an Uncle Wrecker, and we love you. And on that, everyone, thank you for listening or watching to this week's episode of Bounty Hunt. Keep your eyes out for our next hunt, and we'll be diving into episode 9 of The Bad Batch. A special thank you to Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. Go ahead and tell us all your thoughts about The Bad Batch in our Discord community at youtini.com/Discord. Use those spoiler tags, of course. And be sure to follow the main show on Twitter at Living Force Pod, and all of us individually for our latest thoughts about all things Star Wars. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Doc Star Wars MD. Charles is at Z Hankel. And Wes is at Boss Wes. Until next, dang it! Bye! I messed it up.